since I haven't uploaded a build video or anything on my YouTube channel. It's actually around what I actually have my channel about. I thought I'd actually do a tutorial, and that is on how to build these posters I have strewn throughout my room and whatnot. Mostly I have them there to kind of hide the nastiness that is my wall. But I'm pretty certain at least a few people will be interested in how these posters are made. And these posters are fairly easy to build. Especially if you're using a printer that can support third-party ink. You can make a lot of these posters for fairly cheap. So let me get to the supplies and show you what you need. Obviously, the first thing you'll need is paper. I would suggest using cardstock because it's a lot more durable and sturdy to work with. This is a cardstock I get from my local Walmart. Obviously, some scissors. Clear tape. I would suggest getting clear tape that's a little bit more thicker than this, but this will do the job just fine. Jumbo popsicle sticks. You can also use normal popsicle sticks, but jumbo are a lot more easier to work with. Or mainly these that give more surface area and whatnot. A hot glue gun with some clear hot glue sticks. Some foam board. I would suggest using Adams Ready foam board instead of the Elmer's, mainly because this stuff is a lot more cheaper than the Elmer's, especially if you want to actually just freaking weave up your room with anime posters and whatnot. Obviously, you'll need a printer. This is the printer I use. It's an HP PhotoSmart something right here, Ugly Reflection. It's a fairly old printer, but it gets the job done. I'm actually using third-party ink on this printer, so I can basically print these posters for like pennies on the dollar. This is the third-party printer ink I use for my little HP printer there. This stuff is really good for being third-party. When it comes to these figures I built over the years, I can easily get one of these figures made with just one of these packs, and again, it's only 25 bucks. And if I'm really lucky, I can get two of these figures made with just one of these packs. It just depends on what type of colors are in the character model I'm building at any given time. But for third-party ink, especially for this little HP printer here, this stuff here is more than sufficient. Obviously, you need a computer running Windows. I don't know what the equivalent for Mac OS is for MS Paint, and if you're using Linux, what the fuck is wrong with you? So with that said, we now need to go and figure out where to get the pictures and whatnot from. There are quite a few anime photo aggregator sites. This is the one I use. And the easiest way to find like the posters I have here is you gotta go into the polls section of the website. I don't know why it's in Japanese for me, but this is poll. And then you can just scroll through here and just look at whatever you want to see here. You can probably find something. But these are actual monthly posters. So I gotta go to here. And there's the newest monthly post or monthly magazine. And then you can choose whatever character you want and whatnot, or whatever poster you want. Now I already know the two posters I'm going to be using. This one here and this one here for obvious reasons. Now I already have one downloaded. It's full size. So I'm going to go right click, open with, paint. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Print Settings. I'm going to go to Portrait so I can have that way so it can actually fit proper. And then I go to Adjust. Now as you can tell, it'll go to 6 pages by 7 pages. That's a little bit too big for what I need, because I'm actually going to use that poster to replace the current one I have right here, because this one's, I mean, I like it, but the one I have now is a lot more nicer. So it needs to be at least, so I can only go 3 long to get it to fit right. So I need to go back into the adjust scale, and I believe 52 would fit the scale perfectly. So if I go back to here and I go to page preview, 1, 2, 3, it now fits the proper width I need. And of course I can go as long as I want, but if I print too many extra sheets, it'll be basically a waste of paper and whatnot. So obviously the next thing I gotta do is just hit print. And of course I'm going to print wirelessly. You can print wired if you have a wire printer. And I'm just going to hit print. And I'm going to wait for the printer to actually print the thing. I might actually need to cancel it on my end because I actually don't use this printer that often. And if I don't use it for too long, I have to go and actually physically clean the heads and whatnot. But it looks like it's printing out just fine, so I'll come back when it's done printing. Alright, so the next thing I gotta do, or next thing we gotta do, sorry, is we gotta cut off every other section here. That way, so when we go and actually stick them together, it'll actually look correct. So what I mean is I'll be cutting this piece off here, and then I'll be cutting off the corresponding piece here, and then I'm just going to leave this alone. And then I'm going to basically do the exact same thing again, but on the other section here, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to let all these sheets dry, and then I'm going to do the cutting, and I'll come back and give you a general idea of what you're supposed to do. But again, these posters are very simple. You can already see basically how it's put together. Again, there's going to be like a few people that probably don't understand this, but that's why I'm doing this tutorial. But again, these posters are very easy to build. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna let the ink fully dry. I'm gonna do the cutting I need to and come back. And this is more or less what it should look like when you're done. You should have one piece like this, and then the corresponding piece like this, and so on and so forth. And of course, if you have a bigger poster than what I currently have right here, it'll be a little more bigger. I mean, you can go really big. This is the 4x5, I believe, poster. It's pretty stinking big. And of course, I have another 4x5 right there. I think the highest I've gotten is like 4x5. But I could easily go to 6x7 or whatever it was initially that this poster here is actually going to fully expand to. But I don't have the actual wall space, excluding this area right here, to actually warrant a poster of that size. And plus, I really don't have a way to get up there conveniently to add more posters, or I would. And plus, I mean, I want my room to be weaved, but if I had just too many, it's just not going to look right. So with that said, next thing we gotta do is we gotta actually connect the corresponding pieces together with some clear tape. It should be relatively easy to figure out how to do that, but for those that don't, I will show how it's done. Alright, and for those that don't know how to connect the two pieces of paper together, I mean, it's fairly simple, but again, I'll just show you how it's done, or at least how I do it. I take one little piece of tape, line up the edges, which is going to take a little while for me because I want to try to make these look as precise as possible. Tape one edge down, then take another edge, make sure everything's properly aligned. Alright, and they're properly aligned. And then I'm just going to take the roll and just go like this. Get a general size. Doesn't matter if it's too long, just don't make it too short. Then I just start from one side and go like this. And then what I do to make sure the tape is more properly adhered is I take my jumbo popsicle stick, make a flat edge, and then I just run it like this. That more properly adheres the tape to the paper, that way so it looks a lot more cleaner. And then all I do is I just flip it and more or less just do the exact same thing on the other side, without messing it up like that. But this is cardstock I'm using, so I can forego a few little fails like that. If you're using normal paper, you gotta be a little more cautious. But since I'm using cardstock, like I said, I can forego a few little failures when it comes to tape, at least on the bottoms, at least on the other side. You gotta be more careful, obviously, with this side here. And then all I do with this, I just do that and do that. And there we go, I got one section of the poster done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of this and come back. And when you're done, you should have something like this. And what we're going to do is just do what we did initially by cutting this piece, this one, and so on. And then basically doing what we just did, but for the other sections and whatnot. So once you get all that done, you should have basically a poster complete. So let me go and do that and come back. I decided to move out to the kitchen so I can have a bigger surface to work with. Also, I'm currently cleaning out one of my fish tanks and I'm running 2 filters, so it might be a little annoying. And I got this very stupid cat. She wants patty ice. But with that said, there's one thing I do also want to note is that when it comes to connecting the pieces together like you see right here, I also suggest adding small little pieces of tape at the 4 corners to uphold those sheets together. That way, so when you go and actually put the main strip fully across, everything basically stays in place. So before I do that, I gotta give Patty her patty ice. Ooh, that's a lot. Well, that's about normal for Patty poo. And it's most definitely what you wanted, isn't it? She's not that smart. Obviously, also tape the back sides off too, that way so it's easier to handle and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure it's fairly obvious now, but also we need to cut off the white pieces of paper, so we're just left with the actual poster itself. So let me go and get all that done and come back. Alright, now with the poster fully cut out and put together, now we gotta get a backing put on for this thing. Now, like I said, I'm using some Dollar Tree foam board, also known as Elmer's foam board. Not Elmer's, but Adam's Ready, sorry. And now I gotta figure out how exactly I need to spread this thing out. Because as you can tell, it's too tall, and it's also too wide to fit one sheet. But if I go like this, one sheet here, another sheet here, then the whole picture itself will fit on there without an issue. So let me pull it out again. Go like this, lay on top, and then just go like this. And now we have a Now we have some backing for the poster, so it actually doesn't easily flex and whatnot, and well, it'll more look like an actual poster on the wall instead of just a simple piece of paper and whatnot. So next thing we gotta do is we gotta actually connect the sheets of foam together. So let me first put this in a safe place. And I'm just gonna take some tape again, and I'm just gonna do it all off camera and show you. Well, actually, let's see, how am I gonna do this? Alright, I grabbed my tripod. So when it comes to connecting the sheets of foam together, it's more or less gonna be the same like we did with the actual poster itself. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape, go right here, and take another piece of tape that goes right here. Try and stretch it before you connect it. Then I'm going to take another sheet or another piece of tape, go like this. Go like that. And I'm going to take the wooden dowel or popsicle stick, sorry, and just go like this. Now if you're using the cheaper foam, it will crease easily, but this is going on back of the poster, so it's not really necessary that it looks good or anything. We just gotta get these 2 pieces connected. So again, do the same thing on the other side, but we just need to do this. What we're actually going to do is that once we get the actual poster size cut out, is that we're going to take these jumbo popsicle sticks and basically put a bead of hot glue and just basically place them like that, and that'll be more than enough to reinforce it and whatnot. So give me a second. Alright, so the next thing we gotta do is we gotta cut a piece of foam to the exact same size of the poster. And I forgot to also mention 2 more things you need at the very beginning of this video: a box cutter and a pencil. So to just cut the sheet of foam to the right size of basically cut the sheet of foam to the correct size of the poster. Just line up the corners like this. That way, so we can at least get a straight edge on one section, and then more or less just trace the other sections out and whatnot, or trace the other sides and whatnot. Just try to make sure everything's fairly straight and whatnot. And since I'm using the cheaper foam board, This stuff's gonna be really easy to cut compared to like the stuff from Walmart and whatnot, since it's the Elmer's foam board, and that's a lot more sturdier. But again, since we're just doing a poster, we don't need that sturdy of a foam board to build this thing, unless you want to have a more sturdier backing. For me though, I can do just fine with the cheaper stuff, because again, this is just a poster. And just cut the lines. I would also suggest make sure to mark which side is the top, that way so it all fits together and whatnot, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Also, this tutorial seems all over the place is because I never really do tutorials, because this stuff comes naturally to me and I keep kicking the camera. There we go. Alright, so with that all cut out, I got a decent scrap sheet of foam. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to see how sturdy this is. Technically speaking, I don't need to actually add the reinforcement to the crease line right here. But for the sake of this video, especially if someone's going to go for a bigger poster, I'm going to more or less show you how it's done. Granted, again, it should be pretty self-explanatory, but again, for those that don't know how to do this, I'll record that process also. So let me get the hot glue gun, heat it up, and come back. Alright, with the hot glue gun all heated up, granted I should also state you need a hot glue gun if you're going to do this. Granted, you don't need one that's this powerful, you can use a low temp one. This is the only one I have, well, not the only one I have. This is the one I have in the kitchen, but yeah. This is complete overkill for what I'm trying to do. And apparently it's not fully heated up because it's a bit of a pain in the ass to get the hot glue out. With that said, again, this hot glue gun's complete overkill, so put a bead of hot glue on the wooden stick, and then place it right about here or so. And then basically right around here, and right around there. That's all you really need to do, and that's more than enough to keep the little crease area from bending and whatnot. So let me go and do all this off camera and come back. So with the wooden dowels attached, granted again you don't really need to do that, but or not wooden dowels, but one popsicle sticks attached. Again, you really don't need to do that for something of this size, but if you're going bigger, I would suggest you do. Next thing we gotta do is attach the poster itself to the foam board. Now you can use hot glue for this, but it's easier to just use simple clear tape and just let's see. Basically just tape down the edges, or at least start by taping down the edges, or at least 4 corners of the poster. And as you're doing so, try to also stretch the actual poster on the foam board, that way so it looks nice and crisp. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go to the top here. Put a little piece of tape here, stretch, and try and make sure it's as centered as possible. Go like that. And then go like that again. And yeah, I'll definitely be doing some trimming, so yeah, there's also that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this opportunity to do some trimming on the foam, because it's not 100% correct. As you can tell, when I press down on the paper, there's still some foam that needs to be trimmed. So I'm going to go and do this right now. Let's see if I can do this on camera. Again, this is the cheap dollar store stuff, so we're fairly easy to trim. Alright. And then, like I said, I don't do tutorials that often, so I'm very not that good at it. Alright, is there any other pieces that need to be trimmed? Yes, there is, right down here, so I'm going to do that. Basically, if you see any part that needs to be trimmed on the foam board, do some trimming. That way so it looks as clean as possible on the wall. Now granted, you don't have to do this, but I'm doing it because I want this poster to actually look like something on my wall. So let me grab my tape and come back. Alright, and with the trimming done, now we just gotta go and attach the poster to the foam, and all I'm going to do is just go like this. Right where the two pieces of paper meet is where I'm going to put the extra pieces of tape to hold the picture down, or the poster down, or whatever. This is really all you need to do to hold this poster down. Again, you can glue this to the foam board. It just adds extra effort that's really not necessary for something like this. But again, if you want to glue it down, be my guest. I ain't going to stop you. It just, like I said, adds in extra work that's really not necessary. And when it comes to the poster, it's now completed. All we gotta do now is make it so it can actually hang it from the wall. You can do this one of two ways. You can use a paper clip or twine. I'm going to use twine since that's what I like to use. But when it comes to attaching the paper clip, it's more or less the exact same way as attaching twine. So let me get that out. So let me get some string and come back. So the next thing we gotta do is we gotta figure out where the middle of this poster is. So I'm just gonna take the twine I got here, and all I'm gonna do is just go like this. Go to the other edge. Cut it. Then fold it upon itself. Cut the loop in. And there's the center of the poster. So what I need to do is flip it over, place it on there, grab a pencil, go to the edge, straighten it out as much as you can, and then right at the very end is where the middle of the poster is. And then what we're going to do is take the exact same piece of string and knot the end. The reason why I'm going to knot the end is so when I take the nail, the nail actually will be able to stop on something instead of just sliding completely through the string and whatnot. So I'm just going to trim it a little bit, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay like right about this far off. I'm going to give it maybe like an inch or so of length. We really don't need that much. And then I'm going to take my hot glue gun, and I'm just going to go like this. If the hot glue gun will actually work with me. Go like that. Encase it. And then just encase it here. And technically speaking, this is really all you need to do for something this light. If you're going for if you're going for a bigger poster, I would suggest you just fully encase this twine in hot glue. Now when it comes to a paper clip, let me grab one. Here I have a big one. You can also use a small one if you want. I would just fully straighten it out as much as you can. And then I'll just take the end right here, that's probably the most straightest. We'll actually use this to our advantage. And what I'll do is I'll actually take this pencil here, and I'll just use that to actually wrap it and whatnot. That way now, so we actually have a hook that the nail could actually sit on. Again, I'm using twine because that's what I tend to use for this. And then basically all I'm going to actually do is I'm going to take this, bend it 90 degrees, and then basically place it on the foam board and do exactly what I did to the twine. But unlike the twine, fully encase the whole thing in hot glue that way so it doesn't come out. And the reason why I bent it here in the 90 degree is that way so over time the weight of this thing doesn't cause it to just fully come off. Because hot glue and metal really don't bind well unless you do like extra steps like add in a little 90 degree and just fully encase the whole thing in hot glue. So that's more or less how you attach it to a, that's more or less how you use a paper clip. But like I said, I'm using twine, so I'm not going to use a paper clip for this. But what I am going to do is I'm going to add a little bit more hot glue here and there just for sanity's sake. Again, it's not necessary, but I'm going to do it just for my sanity and whatnot. Mainly just one more right here in the middle. And then all I'm going to do is let it dry and hang it up on the wall. And if you ever hung up a picture, it's basically the exact same way. So I'm going to let this dry and come back. Alright, and obviously hanging the thing is fairly simple. But again, I'm going to record it. Yeah. Walls are already destroyed, so it really doesn't matter. All I'm doing is just threading the nail through the twine. I already know where the center is, so I'm just going to more or less make sure I have it fairly correct. And then I'm just going to figure out how exactly I'm going to nail it in. I actually couldn't find a hammer, so I'm just using this. Which really doesn't work also, but whatever. Professional video, this is not. Fudge me. Well, there we go. Well, if that doesn't count as cringe, I don't know what does. But the poster is now up. And more or less that's all it needs to be done when it comes to these posters. Again, they're fairly simple. So with that said, hopefully you got a good cringe out of that and also learn how to actually make these posters. Again, they're fairly simple to do, and as you saw, I replaced that poster as one I kind of actually prefer more anyways. So with that said, I'm going to make Best Girl Miku, or print out Best Girl Miku, and get her poster made and whatnot, and figure out where I'm going to place that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video.